Over the course of NBA history, there have only been a handful of instances where a superstar player in the heart of his basketball prime was traded in a huge swing of a blockbuster deal. We think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 70s, Wilt Chamberlain to the 76ers in the 60s, and then more recent times like Kevin Garnett to Boston in the 2000s. And then we saw James Harden get moved to the Brooklyn Nets 2 years ago. But the fact remains that a superstar being traded in their prime is extremely rare in the NBA, though it has become a bit more commonplace in today's NBA. Speaking of trades and superstars, that's the new NBA. Over the last half decade, we've seen more superstars getting traded than any other era or period in NBA history. Back in 2019, the Los Angeles Lakers were one of those teams that struck an incredible blockbuster deal that sent one of the NBA's best young talents to Hollywood in exchange for a bevy of rising stars. And even though that player has had a rather rocky tenure in a Lakers uniform, he just recently joined rare company after scoring at least 95 points on 70% shooting from the floor over a 2-game span. And to even think that this player could be available for trade to a team that's just months removed from an NBA title, will the NBA even let this happen? Well, in case you haven't figured it out yet, the player I was talking about is Anthony Davis, who's endured some of the most criticism and backlash any superstar athlete will face after what's transpired over the past 2 seasons. The Golden State Warriors are the defending champions, but their rocky start has made them look anything but that. And anytime you're dealing with a team that has their superstars in the prime of their careers but are struggling to perform on the level of a contender, there's controversy, speculation, and a whole lot of trade talks that'll eventually begin to spiral out of control. Now, with that being said, the Warriors have shown some semblance of their championship DNA by stringing together a few more wins recently. But I mean, hey, it's the NBA. Rumors, drama, and a whole lot of in between. Now let's discuss this blockbuster mock trade, shall we? To the surprise of some, not all, Anthony Davis for a significant part of the season has looked like the Anthony Davis we saw in the 2020 bubble when the Lakers captured their 17th title in franchise history. And a big reason for that was, well, Anthony Davis. Through 28 games of the 2020 NBA bubble, Anthony Davis posted an imposing 26 points per contest on nearly 54% shooting from the floor, including 84% from the stripe and 36% from three-point range. He showed that he was worth all that the Lakers gave up to get him. I'm talking about Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-rounders, which included the 4th pick in the 2019 draft. And what made AD so effective that season was because of the way he was inserted into a lineup and how the Lakers ran their offense through him. Remember what LeBron said about how the Lakers would use AD when they traded for him a few seasons ago? That mindset of prioritizing getting AD the ball in his sweet spots ultimately made the Lakers who they were, and it's why the Lakers opened up the following season with the best record in the NBA by a considerable margin. LA had one playmaker out on the court, LeBron, and features an array of snipers out on the perimeter. That gave AD the room to roam around the paint and on each wing to run the pick and roll with LeBron to, I would say, perfection. And if it wasn't the 2-man game with AD and LeBron, AD would get the ball on his spots and the Lakers would pace the floor to allow AD to play one-on-one. Fast forward to this season, and we are, again, seeing the Lakers finally re-implement what worked so well for them 2 years ago in the bubble. LeBron and AD are hitting home on the screen and roll action throughout the entire 4 quarters of the game. And when they aren't doing that, AD is getting the freedom to play his own game down on the block with shooters spaced out on the floor. And it's something we ought to credit first-year head coach Darvin Ham for. He's gotten Russell Westbrook, a glorified non-shooter, to move to the bench and has gotten the team to be hyper-focused on running the offense through AD. And as a result of all the above, Anthony Davis has reestablished himself as one of the top 5 or 10 players in basketball and is posting some of his best numbers across the board. PER, true shooting percentage, effective field goal percentage, overall field goal percentage, points per game, total rebounds per game, win shares per 48. I know it's early in the season, but AD is posting career highs in all departments and is making an early case for MVP. Now that got me thinking. When was the last time a defending champion in the NBA landed a superstar in the MVP conversation via trade during the season? Has it ever happened? Well, actually, I think the better question is, would the Lakers even entertain any discussion that would send AD away in a trade considering the monster season he's putting together thus far? It was only a few months ago that AD was taking a national beating on social media and among fans for staying hurt, not playing, and even if he did play, he didn't look much of anything like himself. And as a die-hard NBA fan myself, I'll admit that we can sometimes get caught in being prisoners of the moment, but some of these takes are just downright bad. Now that AD recently dropped 55 points against the Wizards and became just the second player ever to record a game with 55 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks, I'm not hearing many people asserting their take that AD is a problem and needs to be traded anymore. Yeah, I'm looking at you. If the Warriors were to propose a trade tomorrow for Anthony Davis by packaging together a couple of picks, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody, would that be enough for the Lakers to buy in? Would the Warriors have to give up too much to land AD? I would say that in all likelihood, yeah. Now, if the Warriors asked about AD this past summer, I think that you'd likely have to give up considerably less to get him because of AD's track record in the last 2 seasons. But the way AD's playing now, there's no question his value has risen to, if not where it was 2 years ago, maybe the highest it's ever been in his career. And the Warriors could use some superstar help. And what better time is there to go after one than now? The Warriors are loaded with young, talented players, we all know that. But after guys like Jordan Poole and James Wiseman have taken a noticeable step back this year, are the Warriors sure that their young players can help the nearly 35-year-old Steph Curry enough to capture another title? If I'm Golden State, and this is just my opinion, I'm going all out on a championship over these next 2 to 3 years while I still have Steph Curry playing at arguably the highest level he's ever played at in his entire career. If the Lakers are intrigued enough with what the Warriors have to offer, the Warriors should bundle some assets together to pair Anthony Davis with Steph, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins, even if it means that the Warriors might need to include Jordan Poole in a trade, and this might be an unpopular opinion. I'm trading Poole if it means that I get back one of the top players in the NBA and the league's premier big man to pair with the best point guard in basketball. Look, if the Warriors had Steph, Klay, Wiggins, and AD, I don't know how they wouldn't be seen as a prohibitive favorite to win this year's title, and if all the young players leveled up considerably after last year's finals appearance and the Warriors were at the top of the West standings, then I would say that there isn't any real reason to go for AD. But considering the fact that Steph and Klay aren't getting younger and Steph is playing some extraordinary basketball right now, I'm going for this year's, next year's, and the following year's championship with AD on my roster. Steph and Klay drawing defenses to the perimeter and AD down the block. How do you stop that? You can't tell me that wouldn't be the best fit and the best starting 5 in the NBA. Has Steph ever had a 7-footer he can dump the ball down to and rely on a consistent 25 or 30 points every night? We were just talking about how lethal the pick and roll is with LeBron and AD. Can you imagine what the Steph AD screen and roll will look like? I'm just saying, we might have something potentially brewing behind closed doors. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you back here next time.